Hello, Journal Goddesses. It is Wednesday, so that means it is time for our Journal with Me with the Elemental Forces of Creation Oracle. Today I thought I'd do something just a smidge different. Let's start by lighting some incense. This is something that I usually do prior to starting to film, but I wanted to give you a little bit of behind the scenes of the prep work that I do when I am getting ready to chat with you. So I always start the way that I start with you by taking a nice deep breath and just connecting in with my body. How you doing, body? Noticing anything that is going on and giving myself permission to put it to the side so that I can be fully present and engaged. And then I light my incense. Great Spirit, I thank you for this time with these beautiful beings. I call upon my higher self and I ask to be a clean, clear channel, speaking words of wisdom and motivation and inspiration to help them move forward in their lives. Show me the way that I can be of greater service to the highest good of all. And with that, I usually have a candle burning in here, but I need to clean this out a little bit. So for today, we'll just put our incense in here. It's a little bit tall, so I'm going to break that down just a little bit so it doesn't get all over the place. And we'll just tuck that little baby in there. And I put that on my altar. And then at this point, I push play and start, or I push record and start chatting with you. So how you doing, body? I'm so glad that you are here. I'm so glad that you're taking time just to kind of check in. And if there is anything whirling and swirling and twirling in your body, give yourself permission to pack it up and set it outside of our space and allow yourself to pick it up later or not. So today we're going to do a little bit of Oracle Journal with me, but we're going to do it from a different perspective. We're going to do a little bit of storytelling, and I think I talked about this before. I can't remember. I've done multiple of these now. So I wanted to check in with what elements do I need to include in the stories that I'm telling myself. Now, I like to tell myself positive motivational stories, especially when things feel rough, and things for a little while now have felt very, very challenging. I've had a few deaths of close friends and friends or relatives of close friends as well. And so that is weighing a little heavy on my heart. And I know that when things are weighing heavily on my heart, that is usually the time that I'm not at my optimal best, that those default stories of not enoughness start to come up, especially like if I'm tired, if I'm lonely, if my heart is saddened by things. These are the kind of things that I notice. And I use that acronym HALT. If I'm hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, I know that I need to come back to my breath, come back to some of the practices that form the foundation of my days and help me to stay present and focused on where I want to go. So one of the ways that I use that when I notice that I am spinning out of not enoughness, I go back to storytelling with my oracles. So the question for me is always, what element do I need to include in the stories I'm telling myself? And so I'm just kind of playing with the cards here, just really shuffling them. And today I feel like just pulling one. So what elements do I need to include in the stories I tell myself? And so here, the first card that pulls up is water, and inner child is the card. So when I get this card, one, Water is your emotional realm. So obviously I mentioned that my heart was feeling kind of tender because of some deaths that have happened. And so this is a reminder to me to really be present with my emotions, allow them to flow in a way that in a safe space without judging myself, without making myself bad or wrong or not good enough or not strong enough. All those not fill in the blank enough things that tend to come up when there's some sadness or when there's some loneliness or when there's tiredness going on. So, not surprised that a water card came up asking this question. So, that's one of the elements that I pay very close attention to. What's going on? What are my emotions telling me? Okay. Now, with this particular card being inner child, a lot of times when deaths come up for me, it takes me back to the first major death, which really rocked my world, which was my grandmother. My grandmother passed away, the grandmother that I was closest to, let's put it that way. My maternal grandmother was the grandmother I was closest to. She came down. When we were kids, she would come down for Thanksgiving and then she wouldn't leave until after Christmas. So that was every year for many, many years. And I think I was like 9 or 10 when she passed away. And so that was a really big, big deal for me. I felt very lost and very alone. And so for this card to come up for me this week is definitely an indication that my inner child needs to have some stories told to her that uplift her, that make her feel safe. There is a little bit of vulnerability, obviously, that comes up when someone that you've loved has died, you know? So really I create a safe space for my vulnerability, and I share only when I feel safe. So right now I'm feeling very, very safe sharing this with you because I've done some personal work around it. I've gotten into my journal. I've written down my feelings. I've talked to myself a little bit about what these people have meant to me, and really connecting in with that same sense of love that I had for my grandmother, that noticing how that love for my grandmother has been fed by my friend who had just passed away. And obviously not the same person, and maybe even not to the same extent, but the important thing is that love is there, and that's the tenderness of it. That's the vulnerability of it. To love somebody means that there is a potential that you will lose them before you're ready to lose them. Even if you know that that's going to happen eventually. I mean, we all die eventually, you know. We haven't figured out how to live forever. We don't know when we're going to die. But coming back to the love and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and celebrate the people that are still in our lives, and being grateful for the people that are still in our lives, while at the same time holding the memories of the love for the people who have left our lives, even if whether it was good or bad or through death or, you know, just any of the myriad circumstances. So what elements do I need to include in the stories that I'm telling myself? I need to include the elements of love, really holding on to that undying, that really deep well of love that is available to me and to you and to all of us, should we choose it. And I also feel like this is a very appropriate card, because at the time that I'm filming this, June 12th, it is actually what I like to call Loving Day, because in America, on June 12th, 1967, the Supreme Court made the decision to side with the Loving family, who were an interracial couple. And at the time, interracial marriages were illegal in the United States. And I feel very tender about this because my husband is white. My children are of multiple races. They like to call themselves Blasians because we've done some ancestry. Obviously, the African comes in from my side of the family, but the Asian and European, no, not European, Norwegian, over on that side of the world comes in from my husband. And so they like to honor, they try and be as inclusive to all of their parts, to all of their ancestors as much as possible. So I really appreciate the level of courage that this couple, whose last name was actually Loving, the level of courage it took for them to choose love, to choose to love each other, and to take their love all the way to the highest court in the United States and challenge the laws. And that's just a reminder to me that love, if you choose to stand on the side of love, love will win. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. But love always wins. So coming to myself from a place of love, approaching myself from a place of love, approaching my tender feelings, approaching your tender feelings from a place of love. So what stories do you need to tell yourself? What stories do you need to tell your inner child? Maybe you are experiencing some challenges this week too, and you're feeling kind of emotionally vulnerable, and you're feeling frustrated about that, or it's making you feel a little off. What stories do you need to tell yourself in order to support your feelings rather than denying them? I am so grateful again that you are here and that you've taken time out of your day to be here with me. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And leave a comment in the box down below and let me know, is there anything that you would like me to, for us, our little community here, to journal with the Oracle about? I would love to help you get some clarity around that. Or if you don't want to do this in a public setting, you would rather do it in a more private setting, you can always hit the link in the doodly-doo and get an oracle session, schedule an oracle session with me. I am sending you so much love and so many blessings, and I will talk to you again soon. Take care.